In 1963, 29 miners in West Germany perished after an iron mine was flooded in an event that would come to be known as Wonder von Lingen. A man by the name of Jerry Anderson heard about this and thought about what would have happened if the proper rescue gear could have been delivered on time. This became the basis of a show he created alongside his wife Sylvia Anderson, Thunderbirds, a show about a family of heroes dedicated to saving lives when no one else can. It would be told through their signature style that he dubbed Super Marionation, which used marionette puppets as characters. This franchise would go on to span 32 episodes, 3 feature films, and a 3-season-long reboot. I have a lot of nostalgia for this franchise, and I just really wanted to talk about it. This is going to be the first part in my 3-part series going over this franchise. Today, we'll be talking about the original series from 1965 and its 2 movies. Jeff, count us down.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
So, what is Thunderbirds? Well, as I said, it was a show created by Jerry and Sylvia Anderson. It centered around the Tracy family, who ran an organization called International Rescue, whose lives were dedicated to saving people when nobody else was able to. They did this through the use of the titular Thunderbird machines. Thunderbird 1, piloted by Scott Tracy, was a super fast rocket designed to get to the danger zone in record time to better analyze the situation and make detailed rescue plans. It also held a mobile control unit, which worked as a mini base of operations for the rescue. Thunderbird 2, piloted by Virgil Tracy, was a massive transporter. It carried one of 6 pods, each carrying various different rescue equipment and vehicles. Thunderbird 3, piloted by Alan Tracy, was a single stage-to-orbit reusable space rocket. This was used for all rescue missions in space. Thunderbird 4, piloted by Gordon Tracy, was a little yellow submarine used for rescue missions underwater. It was carried on board Thunderbird 2's Pod 4. This was always my favorite as a kid. Finally, we have Thunderbird 5, manned in a monthly rotation by John and Alan Tracy, although John was shown significantly more on the show, was International Rescue Space Station, able to pick up distress calls from all over the planet and relay them back to base. Thunderbird 3 was also able to dock, so it can transfer supplies and switch monitor duty between John and Alan. Besides the 5 brothers we just mentioned, we also have their father Jeff, the head of International Rescue, Brains, the designer of all the marvelous equipment used by the organization, Kirano, an old friend of Jeff, Kirano's daughter Tintin, who works as Brains' assistant and also a love interest for Alan. There's also Jeff's mum, who, like Kirano, just sorta lives at the base on Tracy Island. Finally, we have their London agent Lady Penelope and her chauffeur Parker. They would usually be the ones to deal with the criminals who caused disasters that International Rescue had to save people from. There's also the main antagonist of the series, Kirano's half-brother, the Hood, who made it his life's mission to steal the secrets of International Rescue to become the wealthiest man in the world. He also has this power where his eyes glow when people look at him and then they pass out. I don't know, it's never really explained. Okay, let's talk about the actual episodes. The pacing is one of their strongest aspects. The 50-minute runtime helps in 2 critical aspects. One is we really get to know and grow attached to the people being rescued, and 2, it really helps with building tension. There are 2 episodes that handle this really well, those being the series premiere, Trapped in the Sky, and Terror in New York City. Trapped in the Sky centers around the Fire Flash, a new commercial airliner which has had a bomb planted in its landing gear on its maiden flight by the Hood. If it were to make a regular landing, it would cause the bomb to detonate, killing everyone on board and the surrounding area. Not only that, but the passengers and crew will start being exposed to lethal radiation in a few hours. The clock is on. International Rescue picks up the radio transmissions being sent between Fireflash and London Airport and take off on their first mission. The ticking clock is a major factor in why this rescue is so great. But more importantly, the incredible music by Barry Gray. There's a reason they use this track as the part of the intro to every episode. It keeps you right on the edge of your seat until the very end.
They made it. They made it. Jolly good show, old boy.
Now let's talk about Terror of New York City, which I have a lot more to say about considering it is one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. It starts right in the action with International Rescue fighting a raging fire. Just off site, we see a journalist, Ned Cook, and his cameraman Joe, who would love to film this rescue and get the best story of their careers. However, International Rescue's harsh security prevents them. But Ned is incredibly determined and begins to film Thunderbird 1 taking off once the rescue is complete, leading to an intense chase sequence between the two, ending with Scott electromagnetically wiping the film and taking off back to Tracy Island. However, new trouble shows up. Thunderbird 2 is picked up as an enemy craft by the new US Navy ship Sentinel. Despite Virgil's attempts to evade, Thunderbird 2 is struck by a missile attack. Thankfully, Jeff is able to contact Washington DC and gets any more attacks called off. But Thunderbird 2 is still horribly damaged. Made even worse when it eventually makes it back to the island where it crashes, which ends with horrible damage to both Thunderbird 2 and Virgil. Meanwhile, over in New York, due to building development, the Empire State Building is being moved, and the Tracys watch it on the news. And who's the reporter on site? None other than Ned Cook. However, it turns out moving a 365,000-ton building wasn't such a good idea. The ground starts opening up, and Ned and Joe fall into a cavern and are sealed in after the iconic landmark collapses. It is soon discovered that Ned and Joe are stuck near an underground river, which caused the ground to give way under the huge weight of the Empire State Building. Water is slowly leaking in and will cover them completely by the next day. So International Rescue sets off to save the day. Thunderbird 4 ready to find the underground river, and oh yeah, that's right, Thunderbird 2 is down. There's no way for them to get Thunderbird 4 to New York in time, or really at all. But they come up with a solution. Thunderbird 1 blasts off for New York to help with keeping Ned and Joe alive. Thunderbird 4 launches from the island and is picked up by the Sentinel, who transports Gordon to New York as a way to make up for downing Thunderbird 2. However, the Sentinel is significantly slower than Thunderbird 2, and it will take 24 hours to reach New York, putting the time frame before the air in the tanks given to Ned and Joe runs out extremely small. But the danger is getting worse. The weakened ground has caused another building to begin to collapse. This concludes with an intense scene of Gordon just barely finding Ned and Joe before the underground river collapses, and we cut to black before we see the final scene of the episode. We see Ned in a wheelchair appearing on his show, The Ned Cook Show. Despite the incredibly small time frame, International Rescue have done it again. These are both incredible episodes, but now we have to talk about something that wasn't that incredible. While Season 2 was being made, the Andersons had their eyes on an even bigger project, a Thunderbirds movie. Thunderbirds Argo was released on the 15th of December 1966, and it bombed. Yikes. Due to this, and the failure to sell the show to an American network, the show was cancelled with Season 2 only lasting 6 episodes. But was the film itself good? It's strange. The film follows the Zero X, a huge spacecraft that will take mankind to Mars for the first time. Before the events of the show, there was a failed attempt for it to reach the Red Planet, as the Hood had sabotaged the ship. He was able to escape, and thankfully, the crew of the ship was safe as well. When Earth was in the right position for a second attempt, International Rescue are asked to make sure everything goes as planned. The Hood once again tries to sabotage the operation. However, Lady Penelope and Parker manage to deal with him. Or I guess just straight up kill him. Okay, that's intense. Zero X successfully takes off and heads for Mars. While on the planet's surface, the crew are attacked by unknown lifeforms which damages their equipment. When they eventually make it back to Earth, the ship is headed for a crash land. And unlike last time, they can't eject, as the escape hood unit has been damaged. So International Rescue take off to save them. Alan boards the Zero X and manages to repair the escape unit just in time. Now, my feelings towards this film are pretty mixed. It's got the great action, tension building, moral work, music, and pyrotechnics that the main show has, but it's also just got a lot of shit in it. For example, Thunderbird 4 just is not in the movie at all, which feels really wrong. I feel like you should include all 5 of the Thunderbirds in a Thunderbirds movie. What's even more baffling is that when Jeff sends Scott, Virgil, and Alan off to see the Zero X at the beginning of the film, Gordon is clearly upset about being left out.
What about me, Father?
Well, it's unlikely that you'll be needed, but you better be ready in case.
Yes, sir.
It really felt like they were trying to set something up, but it goes nowhere. It would have been a pretty easy fix too. Just change the crash position of the Zero X to be over the ocean. Alan repairs the escape unit and the crew eject. However, despite ejecting before the crash, the escape unit is caught on the edge of the blast radius. This damages the buoyancy of the escape unit, and it falls to the bottom of the ocean, and then Thunderbird 4 has to save them, kind of similar to what happened in Atlantic Inferno. Heck.
Okay, Virgil, take Pod 4 with the air-to-air rescue equipment.
Thunderbird 4 was literally being carried in Thunderbird 2 during the climax. And if this would have made the film too long, you can easily cut out this middle chunk of the film, where Alan has a dream sequence that is entirely pointless. Yeah, Alan is kind of made to be the main character of this movie, and he has this dream sequence that's entirely pointless to the plot and the characters, and it's probably the most insane sequence of the entire franchise, and I love it. In his dream, Lady Penelope takes Alan to a space nightclub called the Swinging Star, where they see a performance of Cliff Richard Jr., as in the son of the real-life singer Cliff Richard, except he's his son because the show is set in the future. He's even played by Cliff Richard himself. He sings a whole original song. It's so stupid and I love it.
A shooting star will shoot you and Mars will go to war. The man in the moon will jump on you if you don't love me no more.
I've always been fascinated by that phrase, life as we know it. I have a feeling that we may encounter life as we don't know it.
Overall, I give this film a 6 out of 10, but this wouldn't be the end. In 1968, the Tracy family will be given one final chance of redemption in another feature film. Thunderbird 6 is a movie that exists. This film takes it up a notch by not only not including Thunderbird 4, but also not including Thunderbird 3. And the fact that we don't have all 5 Thunderbirds in this movie is an even bigger problem than it was in the last one, because of the titular Thunderbird 6. So, Jeff is certain that International Rescue needs a Thunderbird 6 and has asked Brains for a design, but he's being infuriatingly vague about what he wants. I feel like we should be seeing all 5 Thunderbirds in this movie, where the main plot is about how those 5 aren't enough. Wait, sorry, did I say the main plot? Sorry, I was mistaken. The main plot of Thunderbird 6 isn't actually about Thunderbird 6. It's about Skyship 1, a new aircraft designed by Brains that Alan, Tintin, Lady Penelope, and Parker are flying on for its maiden flight around the world. However, Skyship 1 has been infiltrated by imposters who shoot the original crew and drop their dead bodies in the ocean. The imposters are secretly recording everything Lady Penelope says in order to edit it together to create a fake message to trick International Rescue into a trap set up by the mysterious Black Phantom, who, despite being played by the same puppet, is not the Hood. You know, since... According to Sylvia Anderson, this is apparently the Hood's son, although nothing about his identity is ever revealed in the movie. Penelope and co. eventually figure out what's happening, but it's too late and the fake message has been sent. But they are able to contact Jeff to warn Scott and Virgil that it's a trap, and they blow up and murder Black Phantom and everyone else. Holy fucking Christ. Why is this movie so violent? So the heroes and villains on board Skyship 1 get into a shootout in the engine room, which damages the controls, and the ship crashes on a tower above a missile base. So they get Alan's Tiger Moth, which I didn't mention before because I forgot, and use it to get everyone off the ship. And then Brains decides to make it Thunderbird 6. That's it. Honestly, this film is just kind of nothing. I could talk a bit more about it, but I honestly have nothing to say and also no energy. I'm tired. I just want to get this video finished. 5 out of 10. Let's move on.
Well, gentlemen, I thought it would be a good idea in this day and age of speed and things like that to build an airship.
An airship? An airship?
So does Thunderbirds hold up nearly 60 years on? Mostly, yeah. It's still very enjoyable and entertaining. However, it does have one major flaw. Despite being pretty progressive for the time when it came to female representation with characters like Lady Penelope and Tintin, although everyone important was almost always a man, so maybe not that progressive. When it came to representation of people of color...
By Jingo, what was that?
Nothing, Master. Nothing. Have no fears, Master. I am exquisite driver.
No!
What?
Racism!
Yeah, that's very bad. But thankfully, it will be able to redeem itself in 2015 when the show would get a full reboot with Thunderbirds Are Go, which actually had black people and more than 3 named people of color. Huh. That makes me think. This series has a lot of similarities to Thomas the Tank Engine. They're both British shows that came from the 20th century, used props and models, feature a character named Gordon associated with the number 4, both had David Mitter working on them, and they... I'm just glad that Thunderbirds never got a terrible live-action movie in the early 2000s that misunderstood everything that made the original show good.
But in this family of heroes, there is one son left behind.
Oh, fuck.